Hey everybody,
Hey.
welcome back to our channel, Things We Love. I'm Izzy, and this is Austin,
Hi guys.
Mojave,
Yeah.
and we're here today with a Bearded Dragon video update. Yeah, so this is going to be part one of 3 parts of videos updating you on our Bearded Dragons. It feels like we've been needing to make this video for
Yeah.
so long. Like, we've been talking about it. I've been doing plant videos, and my hubby's been like, "We really need to get on this bearded
Oh
dragon
yeah.
video."
There's a lot. There's been a lot
Yeah,
happening.
there has
Yeah.
been a lot. So there'll be 3 parts to this bearded dragon video update. And the first part we have is talking about Aussie's brumation and mating.
Yeah. So as you can see, Aussie is out. She is all over the enclosure. She has been like everywhere. She loves it. And there for a while, I would say, like right at the end of summer, pretty much, I don't know, 3 to 4 months from let's say like into August to December. She was in brumation, and it was pretty stressful. We That was our first time dealing with the bearded dragon um, that went into brumation. So, you kind of question yourself: Am I doing the right thing? What's wrong? Is she okay? You try to do all the things, but they just got to do that. They got to go through their thing. It's very natural,
Yeah.
and she did it, and it was a long time, but she came out, and man, she is just such a happy dragon. Yeah, so colder weather, they naturally go into brumation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they get it like in brumation. They do that sometimes for mating purposes, so they're ready to be fertile. Your bearded dragon is in a very controlled environment. As a pet owner, as an animal keeper, we are responsible for their environment. So, you know, you can induce brumation, and you can also try to prevent it. Because it's pretty stressful, and a lot of people don't like that. So, you know, mostly you can control it. Now sometimes, I mean, the dragon's going to do what a dragon's going to do. It's just in them. But so if you keep the temperatures hot, and or hot for them, warm for them, and sustain that, they most likely won't go into brumation unless they're just stubborn and they want to, right? But with us, our the top of this, which you can't really see right now, but it's open. I left it open so I could drop lights in there, and it was just kind of an easier way to get lighting. And then when fall came around, we live up north, so it gets cold. Well, it got colder in here, and so did her tank. And I think that had a lot to do with her going into brumation, because I think her temperatures did change, a little bit. After a few months or so,
Yeah.
we covered the top of it, because we're like, man, we need to get it warm. We need to get her out of that brumation.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe she was coming out of it anyways, but
Right.
we covered the top, and sure enough, within a week or two, she
Yeah.
started coming out. It
Yeah.
was staying warm in there. It This is a wooden enclosure that we built, and with the wood, I don't know, it just holds in the heat pretty well. And there's styrofoam in the back. That background is actually styrofoam.
Yeah.
It's not real rock, but one of the reasons they go into brumation is so they can be ready to have a mate, and keep the bloodline going.
Just to share, I don't know, maybe for those of you who have a bearded dragon where you're questioning if they're in brumation or not, um, it can vary about how long they stay hiding or how long they come out. Aussie, for example, since she was in brumation for so long, she got to a point where she wasn't coming out of her hide for like, I think she even went like a week or two without coming out of her hide. And even after, at the end of December, when it seemed like when we made that change to her enclosure, and it seemed like she was coming out of brumation, even then she would go into her hide for like, what would you say, like a day or so.
Yeah.
And during brumation, she would come out of her hide, but she would sleep in this little hammock here that I crocheted her.
Yeah.
She would sleep in that little hammock there because it's on the cooler side of her enclosure, and sometimes it would be days that she
Yeah,
would
she would
just,
sleep in that hammock for days.
yeah, we would,
Look like a little lazy butt.
well, we almost thought sometimes we had to check and make sure she was still alive. She
Yeah.
looked so still,
Yeah,
and
she was peaceful.
it was very, it's very
Yeah.
scary.
And that's a sign of brumation too. Like if they're just, in one position and they're just there. I mean, that's just part of their body is slowing down. Everything in them is slowing down. They're cold blooded. So, heat warms their blood and gets them moving, and they kind of stay on the cooler end, because they want to go into like a deeper sleep.
Yeah.
By the way, it's kind of hard to tell when they're actually out of
Right.
brumation. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's, it's stacked days where you see, her moving more and moving
Yeah.
more. Like, there was a time where we thought she was coming out and she wasn't, so you got to be patient with it. It's hard to know when they're coming out.
Yes. And I think we did read that, when they're in brumation and they do come out, they should have something to scavenge on, some type of food. If a lot of times these bearded dragons know what they need.
Yeah, she knows. She always knew what
She
she needed.
always did.
Yeah,
She knew if she needed to eat or if she just needed to go hide. If she wasn't supposed to be eating, she wouldn't eat.
yeah.
And so it's good to just give them an option. When
Always still put like fresh veggies in the bowl here
yeah,
and there. Try to put a bug in there. It's a debate. Some people say they
don't feed them.
shouldn't give them anything, but you know it's your choice as the owner. And with us, we felt comfortable doing it. But the reason is that food can, if they're not under their basking, they're not heating up, and their
Hmm.
metabolism's not working. Food can rot in their belly,
Hmm.
and that is something to worry about.
And
Um,
that could kill them.
it can kill them.
When we thought she was starting to come out of brumation, she didn't eat a lot. She would just eat a little bit here and there. And I think when we really knew that she was out of brumation, she started to eat more and
Yeah,
more.
yeah. She was
And
more active, moving around more.
yeah, and she would be out. You can tell when they're just out in their
Mm,
enclosure rather than in a hiding spot. She loves
yeah.
her big hiding spot there. She goes in there.
Oh, it's a big cozy cave. She loves it.
Yeah.
But now, like that, she's been out of brumation. She has literally been on every spot in this enclosure.
Hmm.
She loves that spot right there under the UVB. Seems like she knows when she needs that. She loves being
Hmm.
up there. She loves this rock right here, right under
She,
the bat. Obviously, it's a
yeah.
basking spot, but she loves all the spots. It's
And that's a
funny.
real rock. That's
Yeah.
not
Oh yeah,
actually
that one's real.
styrofoam. We've got a couple real rocks littered throughout the enclosure. As Aussie is coming out of brumation,
Mm.
we've got our other bearded dragon. If you've watched our other videos,
Mr. Don Cheeto.
Mr. Don Cheeto, our little orange guy, or red guy.
Yeah, he's red, but he looks orangish.
Yeah, Mr. Don Cheeto. And as she was coming out of brumation, he started acting
Yeah,
weird,
noticeably different.
noticeably different.
Yes.
And they are in completely separate rooms.
Yeah.
This is our boy's room and our son's bearded dragon, and Don Cheeto, is in our room down the hall and in completely separate rooms. But he was acting so anxious, and
Yeah.
I work from home, so I'm the one that's usually here with him all day. And it was primarily during the day that he was really seeming like he needed to get out of his enclosure. Like he was
Yeah.
glass surfing a lot.
Kind of like signs like when they want to poop. It's kind of
Yes.
like that, but he was doing that a lot. Like even after he had gone to the bathroom and stuff like that, he was still doing it. He just seemed uneasy, like he was trying to get to something, or
Yeah.
it just seemed like he sensed her.
That's
It really was crazy.
ultimately that's what I
Yeah,
was getting at, was
yeah.
that I got to the point where I tried to give him everything. I don't know if he said something about trying to poop, you know,
Hmm.
and if I don't know if everybody's bearded dragon, it's just, but both of ours don't like to poop in their enclosures. And if they have to void,
Yeah.
they are, glass surfing to get out.
Yeah,
And
which I
they,
think is pretty common. And I'm sure not everyone does that, but there's definitely dragons that do that. They don't like to, because it stinks. That they don't want it to be in there.
I don't
I
know
would
if
imagine.
I don't know if they can smell it, but we can.
Yeah,
So they probably
which
can
is
too.
surprising for a reptile to
Yeah,
like,
to
not want
care.
that. Yeah, to care and like,
Yeah,
yeah, they don't like that.
yeah. But he was acting very, very anxious, and I was texting him at work, and I was like, "Babe, I really think that Cheeto can sense Aussie because she was just coming out of brumation, and like I said, we are constantly doing research for the things that we're
Yeah,
interested in, and we knew that when a bearded dragon comes out of brumation, oftentimes they were building up to mate.
yeah. Which we, talked about it, and later down the road, this is something that
Right.
we really wanted to consider and wanted to try
Hmm.
and wanted to do, but we just didn't realize it would be so soon.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next point.
Right.
with all the research we've done, we thought they needed to be at a certain age,
Mhm.
but we dug further, and honestly, it's about their weight, their size. That's actually when they're mature.
That's what
That's what
determines.
kind of determines when they're
Yeah.
mature. So, around 350 to 400 grams, they're actually mature enough and big enough to mate, and
Mhm.
they will do so in the wild. They don't wait, 2 years or a year and a half in the wild. If they are big enough and, it's in them naturally and they see, the opposite sex,
Mhm.
they will mate,
Yeah.
and that's something that we learned.
Yeah.
It was,
Well,
we didn't expect it.
we had previously introduced Cheeto and Aussie. When Cheeto was younger, we had just, in a controlled environment,
Yes,
we
yeah.
would both be holding a bearded dragon or we'd be on our bed. And they were even, at one point when Cheeto was much smaller, they were right next to each other. They were sitting on the bed right next to
And
each other.
Ozzy wanted nothing to do with him,
And
and
he
he wanted
wanted
nothing
nothing
to
to do
do with
with
her.
her.
Yeah.
The last topic that we're talking about this video.
Hmm.
But one day, my hubby's was holding Cheeto. Honestly, my husband is the one that spends the most time with our bearded dragons. He gets them out often. A lot of times I feel bad. I'm like, don't really want to bother them, but he spends a lot of time with them, and I think that's why they're such loving um, bearded
Yeah,
dragons.
maybe.
But he had Cheeto one day on his chest, and Aussie was coming out of Brumation. She had been out for maybe a few weeks, and we just came into our boys' room, and I thought, oh, here's Aussie. Maybe I should like pull her out too and see. From what we had experienced in the past, they
Yeah,
were
they
not
wanted nothing
interested
to
in
do.
each
Yeah,
other,
they were not interested in each other.
but this time was a little different.
A lot different. Cheeto, the black beard started to show. His
Yeah,
his tail was curled up. He was very alert and interested. They
and
they kind of did a little dance. Like
yep,
it was very ritualistic. Like
we have a
it's
video of it. I'll put it
yeah,
up here so you'll see exactly what we're talking
and
about.
it was like on site. They were just
Yes,
like in that mode, and they did their little mating, dance. Not literally dance, but I'm just,
yeah,
they side by side. They look at each other. He started getting black. She started nodding slowly.
yeah. So they bob at
Yeah,
each
males
other.
bob hard, and then the females kind of bob slower.
And Ozzy's a waver. She
Yeah,
loves
she'll
to
wave.
wave. She's such a sweet girl. I
Yeah, we
just love
love
it.
the wave.
Yeah, it's so cute. It's
Yeah.
just so amazing to me that, a lot of animals have these rituals, these mating rituals that they do.
Hmm.
And I personally think that the bearded dragon's mating ritual is
Yeah,
super
it's so
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yes, I mean,
and really cute.
there's a lot about these little guys that are just so cool that we had no idea about.
Yeah. Well, besides the actual mating part, because that part's a little vicious to
Yeah.
me.
Oh yeah.
I felt so bad for Ozzy, and we're like I said, we're going to show you a couple of videos
Hmm.
of that. But I felt bad. I mean, he was going crazy. They get very. I mean,
I mean, he wasn't harming her, but at the same time, like, the male latches on, so he grabs her neck. There's like flap back there, and he
uh-huh.
just grabs that, and he kind of gets on her, and then they do their thing, but it's kind of funny because they have to like go to the side and wiggle, shimmy in there, and I don't know, it's funny, but
It is funny,
yeah,
and I tried to pay attention to Ozzy's behavior. I figure if she didn't want it, she would look scared or
she would show
retreat.
dominance or try to run away, but
Right? Yeah.
she was, you
No,
could
she was
tell
into
she's
it.
fully into it. She was
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, she was. I mean, he looked very aggressive, and she was like walking up to him. Like I
But
said in
he's
the video,
also super handsome. So how could you not?
I know he is so handsome. After they mated, we read, a couple people suggested that they stay together, so we still had him in the room after they mated, and
It seemed like they were done. Like they were
yeah,
kind
but
of done with each
Cheeto was
other.
still revved up, remember?
Yeah.
And he attacked your foot.
Oh my god. Yeah. He attacked my foot.
Yeah,
He thought, and he's never bit me or anything, but he like
never.
grabbed a hold of my. It was
Sock.
my sock was on, so
That
he like
was
grabbed
so
it. I was like,
funny.
I don't had him on my foot. I'm like moving it, and finally got him off. But oh my,
I
yeah,
don't know.
everybody thought that was
I
so
was
funny.
just it was just funny the way you
It was funny.
reacted, and
Yeah.
you were like telling me to get him, but like I was laughing too hard to like even. And
He was trying to mate with my foot. That's
I
literally
was,
what
I think
happened.
that's what it was, and I was too scared to touch him. I didn't want him to turn around and bite
Yeah.
me, so I was just laughing at. I think we've covered everything in part one. So we wanted to talk about part one being, like I said, brumation and mating.
Yeah.
But the next video will be about her pregnancy and behaviors that she had, her laying the eggs, and the steps that we took to allow her to lay those eggs. And
Yeah.
finally, the last video will be about egg care, and temperatures and all those kinds of things. Maybe
Yeah.
items that we purchased to care for our eggs and all that stuff. So part one, brumation and mating. Part two, pregnancy and egg laying. Part three, egg care, and hopefully we get those out before
Yeah.
we actually have any babies.
And I will say, if if you're considering doing this, just know that you got to be all in when
Right.
it comes to this. There, you have to have the means for it. You have to be ready for it. You've got to, because it takes a lot. It takes not only a lot of time, it takes money, and so you've got to be all in. It's a very serious thing, which we were very, very prepared to do it. We have the means,
Right.
and you know, we have the will to do it. Anything that we do together, we accomplish. We do it right,
And we learn.
and we learn too. And it's a journey. It's an adventure.
Right.
But if I have her by my side, I know that I can get anything done, accomplish anything, and so it's not, we don't, we're making this video, but it's not taken lightly. Like we were prepared.
We were.
And
We talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
We knew what we were in for, and
It is not easy.
It's not. So we've gotten, I wouldn't say a lot of heat, but we've had people, breeders who feel very strongly about other breeders, and that it's not a game. Like, if you're going to breed, this is about animals' lives, and we truly do care about the well-being of animals. All right, so we figured we'd pull Aussie out, but as you can see, she might look a little thick.
She's a little thick. She's thickums.
Hi, sweet girl.
Look, it's what she likes to do. She'll cuddle up into my neck.
She's always loved that since she was a baby. She doesn't look too thick right now.
Yeah. There she is, and that's what's really cool about these animals. They just hang out. They chill with you. Especially as they get older, they get even easier, and they're low maintenance and they're chill.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to enjoy the things you love, and we'll see you in the next one from me, my hubbies, and our Aussie girl.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.